Namaste and good morning. So, today the topic is how do you get rid of negative thoughts? So, in order to understand our thoughts, we have to understand what we're putting into our system because our thoughts reflect what we listen to, what we hear, what we feel, what our system has inside of us. So, in today's society, we are seeing what thoughts are doing to people. Every day, there's a shooting or something going on. Now we see that people are fighting on airplanes. We have suicides among our population. And the pandemic has done a lot to help cause this, but also social media, a lot of social media, listening to various things and being conditioned. And so the mind is everywhere. The mind is in turmoil, and we are scared to go out in society because there could be a shooting at the grocery store or any place at the mall. There was a scare yesterday. So how do you deal with all this that's going on? So just like you take a bath every day, you'll have to do something to help you to cope with all this that's going on. The pandemic is still here. So how do you deal with the negative thought? Well, the first thing you have to do is to be able to acknowledge that it's a thought and it's not reality. It's just a thought that's rising in the mind. Like how when how water rises and become clouds, or when you're boiling something, the bubbles come up to the top of the water. So too, our thoughts come up. And the more thoughts we have, then we'll start boiling over like the pot. So we have to be able to control that, not control our thoughts, but we have to be able to function. So if we are so caught in our thoughts that we are not aware that it's a thought, then that's a bad situation. So the first thing is to acknowledge that it is just a thought. And you take a few deep breaths, so take a few deep breaths, and then you sit down and you close your eyes and observe your thought. So in that moment when the negative thought comes, you take a few breaths and you observe the thought. So that's one way for an immediate thing. Now, how many times you have to do that for the day, As we look at our world today, it is very different than, say, 3 or 4 decades ago. Do you remember that show, that 70s show? They just sat around and talked. They didn't have social media and all that kind of thing. And they just sat around and smoked weed. That's what they did. That was what the life was. A few decades before that, life was different. We did more physical things instead of so much computer work, or the computer didn't do everything. So now a lot of our society is just more in the mind, or the brain just doing mental things instead of more physical things. You see, when we are doing physical things, we are more grounded in our reality at that point because we are living in that moment. If you are doing dishes, that's your reality right there. You're doing dishes, but the mind is still functioning there, and probably there would be thoughts of all kinds of things coming through. So first of all, we have to curb the amount of thoughts that are coming up. That is why they recommend meditation. So what you need to do is every day, around the same time, maybe around before you have dinner, you have to take a thought bath, or a thoughtless bath, Just like you take a shower every day, you have to take care of your mind also. So you have to take care of your body and you have to take care of your mind. So you sit down, you take a few deep breaths, and you close your eyes and you observe what thoughts are coming. You just sit there and you observe your thoughts, nothing more. And you just let them go. You let them go. It's like our mind is full of so much information. It fills this cup. It's so full of information, and it because the mind, is logically, it brings things up to you. It just overflows. So in a way, we are directing its overflow. We are saying when you should overflow mind. Okay, I'm sitting here, come on, overflow now. I'm going to just observe you, you know because we are much more than the mind, so we can observe our thoughts. That's the important thing. Like an animal cannot observe its thoughts, but we are creatures who can observe our mind. So then that's a temporary little solution there. But in the long term, you'd want to limit. You see, it's a work in progress. So in addition to that, what you need to do is limit how much social media you listen to or you are on, you know, because this plays a great deal these days into what's going on, you know. So you limit some of the TV shows you watch, because you might think shows and TVs don't have an effect on our mind. But remember, our mind, our brain, our logic, our emotion is processing all this stuff. So sometimes when we dream, our reality in a dream, it comes from all that we listen and we are involved in. So sometimes, it comes out in a dream and it's a bunch of chaos. The mind is trying to release some of this. So it's important we limit some of our shows or whatever. So much violent shows nowadays. That's why there's so much of an increase in violence. Not everybody can handle it and not take action. So as more and more people mind get so full, they won't be able to tell reality from imagination. Some people can. So some people can watch a lot of TV and it doesn't have any effect on them. But some people, it does affect them. So the more of something you watch, the more you are conditioned into thinking it's okay. So this is what is going on in the world today. So you limit some of that. You limit some of your social media, and then you do your 10 minutes, and that's going to help quite a lot. So, you don't want to put too much input into the brain, but sometimes you need to be doing something, you can't just sit around. So you listen to some good music. There are meditation music out there. You can listen to that. There are sound meditation music. You can listen to that. And these help you in the long term. It's a process. So this is part of the process. It's not going to solve it overnight. So these are some of the things you do. And you can listen to classical music because there are no words to that song. When you listen to music and song and you listen to the words, then the words are going in the mind also. And if it's an emotional song, then your emotion is into play. So the classical music just does something to your brain, and you don't have to worry too much about what the mind is saying. So another kind of music you can listen to is kirtan, which is just the names of God, but the way it's sung and the tone, the sounds, the syllables, and everything, it has a different effect on you. You feel more happy, you feel more nice inside, because happiness is like a quiet little nice state inside where you feel peaceful and happy inside. There's no words at that point. Like if you have when you have a spouse or something and you're in love and you have that moment of, silence and peace, and you're just happy in each other's company. That's how your soul is. You feel like that. So when listening to the kirtan, after a while, you'll start to feel that love inside of you. So then you're building love into your system. So then thoughts that come will not be so negative. So so instead of watching negative things, you can watch positive things, but you have to listen less also. So all these are little tips that you can do uh, to limit those negative thoughts, because the negative thoughts give rise to negative emotions, and emotions and everything run out into the world, and sometimes you could cope with it, but the people around you can't cope. So those are different ways of doing things. If you don't want to do kirtan, just do classical music, but that doesn't take you into that nice space. So these are different things. And of course, there are people given meditation techniques, and there are breathing exercises, but this little clip is not so much about giving you any of that. You can seek help. And sometimes people cannot even take a deep breath and observe their thoughts. So then they need more help than that. They may need a therapist or some kind of medicine to help them. So I just wanted to share this with you this morning, because I think there's a lot of you know negativism out there, and when you're not you don't have to listen to all the social political. When you sit down, you be quiet. You don't have to be involved. The more you are involved in those things, then the more the mind will run negative. So you do have to listen to the news and be informed and do everything. But you have to be able to take care of yourself, and be okay in the world. So these are some tips, and there are more things you can do. As I said, breathing and meditation techniques, but it's if you want to do those things. Sometimes you don't have time to do much, but you can sit down 10 minutes a day and try to observe your thoughts. I also I'll do some meditation sessions. I've done those. So you can look at some old thing. Um, the important thing is you have to work at it. So I just want to say one thing before I finish. I don't have a profit organization or a non-profit organization. So I want you to share this to your friends and family, because what I want is what you want. I just want my children, my grandchildren to have a better world. And if we can help people to control their mind, not control, but not be so negative, we can have positive thoughts and create a better world, because the world is somehow going down backwards, I would say. So do your part, share something good, help people to deal with their negative thoughts. So I say namaste and thank you for watching.